Chapter 475. Lin Fei shatters 10 deity transformation incarnations. Lin Fei had never undergone the Thunder Tribulation, not even once. However, he possessed hundreds of particle worlds. Once these worlds erupted, their terrifying power was akin to a volcanic explosion, instantaneously detonating. Boom! Lin Fei's auras suddenly enveloped the 10 deity transformation incarnations. Even these incarnations, along with the woman, were momentarily bewildered by such a formidable presence. Could someone who hadn't passed the Thunder Tribulation really possess such a fearsome aura? But it was already too late. Lin Fei launched a punch, targeting all 10 deity transformation incarnations without exception. Buzz. Moreover, his saber world descended, its suppression power dramatically enhanced by the fusion with the world's laws undergoing a qualitative transformation. With the deployment of Lin Fei's saber world, the 10 deity transformation incarnations were further oppressed. For a brief moment, the combined momentum of Lin Fei's 10 particle worlds, saber world, and the world laws rendered the incarnations utterly immobile. However, this was only a fleeting instant. The deity transformation cultivators quickly reacted, but their response was tardy. Lin Fei's punch had already thunderously struck the 10 incarnations. Bang! There was no time even for a cry of agony. In an instant, the 10 deity transformation incarnations were shattered, reduced to dust, and annihilated on a particle level. The void returned to tranquility. Lin Fei slowly withdrew his hand, calmly stating, "It's done. Don't forget the total of 12,000 contribution points." The woman seemed to awaken from a dream, utterly shocked. At that moment, she realized how ludicrous her plan had been, seeking a martial god who hadn't passed the Thunder Tribulation, thinking they would be weak. But now, it appeared she had unwittingly discovered an extraordinary being. Without having undergone the tribulation, yet so terrifying, Lin Fei had obliterated 10 deity transformation incarnations with a single punch. This was far from ordinary. The woman, having traversed the divine realms for many years, was not devoid of insight. The martial god she had employed, Lin Fei, was clearly no ordinary being. Her intuition suggested that his status in the Great Dream City was likely remarkable. For a moment, her expression was a complex mix of wariness and relief. Regardless, the immediate threat seemed to have passed. The 2 deity transformation cultivators had surely not perished, it was only their incarnations that had been destroyed. Each deity transformation cultivator would have hidden their true self in a place of absolute safety to ensure their immortality. Unless someone specifically targeted and relentlessly hunted their incarnations, losing a few would not lead to their demise. However, for the 2 of them, the loss of so many incarnations was undoubtedly a severe blow, possibly taking thousands of years to recover. Upon returning to the ancient city, the woman hesitated before softly introducing herself. "Martial God Lin, my name is Xu Yu. I was the one who posted the task in the Great Dream City and hired you. When I first obtained the first layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra, I was merely a mortal. After years of deceit and cunning, I've cultivated to Martial King, but Martial God is still far beyond my reach. I've taken some extreme measures to preserve myself. Please forgive me." Lin Fei responded calmly, "You are indeed fortunate. However, your affairs are of no concern to me. Once you pay the 12,000 contribution points, our dealings are concluded." Lin Fei showed no interest in Xu Yu's secrets. At the level of martial gods, especially at his level, he could obtain whatever he desired directly. Besides, what significant secrets could a martial king hold? Even if there were secrets leading to becoming a true monarch, what would that mean to someone like him? He simply did not care. Xu Yu seemed to want to say more but ultimately remained silent. She only mentioned that upon completing the task, Lin Fei would naturally receive his 12,000 contribution points. Lin Fei nodded and immediately headed to the Great Dream City. Upon submitting the task at the task hall, he indeed received the 12,000 contribution points. 12,000 contribution points, I didn't expect to get them so quickly, he thought. This is quite a fortune, enough for me to experience the might of a Thunder Tribulation. Lin Fei promptly spent 100 contribution points to seek out a martial god, aiming to experience the might of a Thunder Tribulation firsthand. The martial god readily agreed. For a martial god, simulating the power of a Thunder Tribulation in a dream was a simple task. Rumble. Soon, Lin Fei witnessed the formidable power of a thunder tribulation. Indeed, it was strong, but not to the extent of being world-destroying or causing despair. I'm comparing it with the strength of 100 particle worlds within me, Lin Fei thought. Naturally, it seems manageable. But without these worlds, whether I could withstand it is uncertain. However, from what I see, passing a thunder tribulation should be feasible. Lin Fei's cultivation had reached a bottleneck, his laws could not be further augmented. His only path forward was to undergo the thunder tribulation, and he felt confident about it. Everything is ready. There's nothing to fear in the thunder tribulation, even that of the divine realms, he mused. Leaving the Great Dream City, Lin Fei returned to the ancient city, where there was a designated area for undergoing tribulations. As a member of the ancient covenant through the Great Dream sect, he could use this facility for free. The so-called free tribulation ground was essentially a place with reinforced formations. These formations absorbed the power of the heavenly thunder, preventing its force from spreading too widely. They could not, however, weaken the thunder's strength. A genuine thunder tribulation required the martial gods to endure the strikes of heavenly thunder, with the number of strikes varying. The tribulation would cease when deemed appropriate, meaning it no longer continued to plunder the laws. The more laws it plundered, the better, but this also meant a longer duration under the thunder's assault. The power of the thunder increased as the tribulation progressed, posing a greater risk if one became too greedy. Passing the tribulation tested not only one's accumulated strength but also one's temperament. I am Lin Fei, a member of the Great Dream sect, Lin Fei declared. Great Dream sect. You may enter. Come out on your own after the tribulation ends. Seeing Lin Fei enter a formation for the thunder tribulation, the onlookers were surprised. While the Great Dream sect had many members, their levels varied, and those who came to undergo tribulations were even fewer compared to other major martial forces. Now, a martial god from the Great Dream sect attempting the thunder tribulation was a rare sight, drawing the attention of many to Lin Fei's tribulation process. Chapter 476. First tribulation, plundering 3 laws. Unaware of the attention he was attracting from the outside, Lin Fei was indifferent to it. The so-called formation was essentially a vast open space, with some arrangements designed solely to prevent the spread of the thunder tribulation's force to others. The brunt of the tribulation, however, was for Lin Fei to bear alone. Let's begin, Lin Fei inhaled deeply. Boom. The next moment, he unleashed the world laws. As he did, he seemed to see into the depths of the void, where a vast sea of origin lay. This sea, teeming with world origins, barely stirred at Lin Fei's use of the world laws, a mere drop in the ocean. Just as Lin Fei's consciousness was about to touch this sea of origin. Boom. A massive bolt of thunder struck down without warning. The thunder tribulation had begun. The thunder appeared out of nowhere, without clouds or any signs, striking Lin Fei's area with unbelievable speed. The thunder tribulation. It's so swift. Is this really just the first one, and so terrifying? Many discussed the comparison between the paths of immortal and martial cultivation. Despite the strength martial cultivators wielded, their path was fraught with peril, especially at the martial god level. In contrast, those who followed the immortal Tao, upon reaching deity transformation, could create countless incarnations without facing thunder tribulations. However, one's Tao wasn't just a matter of preference. Immortal cultivation required innate talent, not everyone could become a Qi cultivator. Similarly, without unwavering will, one couldn't become a martial god. Thus, these discussions were mostly hypothetical. No martial god regretted their path. At this moment, Lin Fei harbored no regrets either. He faced the thunder above, seemingly poised to obliterate him. He stood still, enduring the lightning with his physical body, as this was the essence of facing the tribulation. Dodging or not facing it head-on would only result in endless assaults from the tribulation, leading to inevitable death. Finally, the thunderbolt struck Lin Fei's physical body. The terrifying force of the thunderbolt, upon entering his body, instantly began to annihilate the particles of his flesh. All particles were obliterated, turning to ash wherever the thunder touched. Just one bolt of lightning had almost destroyed half of Lin Fei's physical body. However, at this critical moment, the hundreds of particle worlds within Lin Fei erupted fiercely. The power of these particle worlds collided with the thunder's force, annihilating much of its destructive power. The remaining thunder, although still possessing the power to annihilate, was unable to destroy the rest of Lin Fei's physical particles. Moreover, Lin Fei's 100-particle worlds remained unscathed. Lin Fei sensed that he could have passed the tribulation at that moment, provided he stopped there. But he needed to plunder more world laws. How could he stop? In that instant, as the first bolt of thunder struck, Lin Fei had already plundered one world law. Normally, passing a thunder tribulation allowed the plundering of one law, but Lin Fei wasn't satisfied with just one. Thus, he once again approached the Sea of Origin with his consciousness and plundered another world law. Boon. The second bolt of thunder descended. This was still the first thunder tribulation, but Lin Fei, aiming to plunder two laws, faced the second bolt. This was a significant risk, but great rewards often come with great risks. Such martial gods often end up stronger than their peers as they acquire more laws. The spectators outside were astonished to see the second bolt of thunder. What, a second bolt? He's greedy for more laws, isn't he? Surviving the tribulation is hard enough, yet he aims to plunder more laws. Each additional law plundered almost doubles the thunder's power. If he can't withstand it, it's a sure path to death. Can this great dream sect's martial god withstand it? The second bolt of thunder arrived swiftly, entering Lin Fei's body in the blink of an eye, unleashing a terrifying destructive force. Lin Fei was prepared. The hundreds of particle worlds within him burst forth, their immense power confronting the thunder's force head-on. Boom. Lin Fei's body trembled as the two forces collided, obliterating most of his physical form. However, the power of the second bolt of thunder was substantially exhausted. Using the power of the world laws, Lin Fei then attempted to suppress and seal the thunder's force. Ordinary laws were ineffective against such thunder, which contained the power of destruction capable of annihilating all forces and laws. But Lin Fei's world law was different. It encompassed and contained everything, even the force of destruction. This stray destructive force was sealed by the world law and gradually dissipated into nothingness. Success is possible, Lin Fei thought. To withstand the thunder tribulation, a typical martial god uses a method of attrition. The stronger the physical particles, the more thunder force it can deplete. My particle worlds, with their powerful force, can also consume a substantial amount of the thunder's power. That's why I can withstand the second bolt. But to continue, I probably can't withstand a third bolt. Unless I have other powers to resist or deplete the thunder's force. My law's power should be able to seal the tribulation's destructive force. Other martial gods' laws are too few and too weak to have much effect on the tribulation's power. Lin Fei, resolute and decisive, felt he could still plunder another law. Let's continue. He didn't hesitate. Believing he could continue to plunder laws, he immediately started to plunder the third. Boom. The third bolt of thunder struck instantly, leaving many onlookers astonished. A third bolt of thunder. What is he trying to do? He's actually plundering 3 laws in one tribulation. This is unbelievable. When did the Great Dream Sect produce such a figure? Martial gods who could plunder 3 laws in a single tribulation were exceedingly rare. Even throughout the history of the Ancient Covenant, there were very few, no more than 10. Each one was a dazzling figure of their era, with some even becoming martial ancestors and true monarchs. Now, they were witnessing a martial god who dared to plunder 3 laws in his first tribulation. Whether he would succeed remained uncertain, but everyone's eyes were fixed on Lin Fei, filled with curiosity and awe. They all wanted to see who this extraordinary and brilliant martial god, daring to plunder 3 laws in his first tribulation, really was. Chapter 477. The second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. As the third bolt of thunder struck, Lin Fei's physical body was almost entirely annihilated, including nearly half of his 100-particle worlds. He was unable to withstand the third thunderbolt on his own. Fortunately, Lin Fei's world laws came to the rescue, immediately sealing the third bolt. Although the thunderbolt broke the seal, its force was largely spent, gradually weakening and finally being withstood by Lin Fei's physical body. In the end, everything settled, leaving Lin Fei with only about 1/10 of his physical body intact. It was indeed a dangerous gamble, but worth the risk, as Lin Fei gained 3 world laws from this tribulation. Each world law could create 100 particle worlds, so with 3 new laws, Lin Fei could create an additional 300 particle worlds. Moreover, these new worlds, strengthened by the more potent world laws, were far more powerful than his previous ones. This cumulative increase in power was not merely threefold, but potentially 5 or even 10 times greater. Feeling the 3 new world laws within him, Lin Fei began integrating them with his original world laws. Without hesitation, he commenced the creation of new particle worlds. The vast world laws supported the simultaneous creation of multiple particle worlds. Boom! One after another, new particle worlds were created, each enhancing Lin Fei's physical strength further. In a short time, he added 300 new particle worlds to his body, bringing the total to 400. Lin Fei opened his eyes, a sharp gleam flashing within them as he called upon the system panel to review his status. Host, Lin Fei. Martial Realm, Martial Gods, First Thunder Tribulation. Great Dream Heart Sutra, First Layer, Progress 1%. 4 Symbols and 5 Elements Creation Method, 400 Particle Worlds. Lin Fei's martial realm was now that of a martial god who had passed the First Thunder Tribulation. Furthermore, he had successfully created 400 particle worlds through the 4 Symbols and 5 Elements Creation Method, making him incredibly powerful. The only weak point was the Great Dream Heart Sutra, still at the first layer. However, with plenty of contribution points at his disposal, acquiring the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra was not a problem. Rising, Lin Fei left the formation. As he did, countless eyes outside the formation immediately focused on him. It's him, the one who acquired 3 laws in a single thunder tribulation. Indeed a new face, truly incredible. Great Dream Sect has gained another powerful member. Though he has only passed 1 tribulation, his strength is unfathomable. Perhaps the Great Dream Sect might produce another martial ancestor in the future. Leaving aside martial ancestors, reaching true monarch is quite probable. In no time, information about Lin Fei spread among the various powers of the Ancient Covenant. The Great Dream Sect, being a significant force, naturally drew attention when it gained a new official member, especially one capable of enduring 3 bolts of thunder in a single tribulation. Lin Fei, accustomed to being the center of attention, paid no mind to the whispers and gazes. No matter how low-key he tried to be, his presence was as conspicuous as a firefly in the dark night. Accepting the inevitability of attention, Lin Fei, as a martial god, felt no need for undue concern. In the Ancient Covenant, a martial god might not be a titan but was certainly not to be underestimated. Killing a martial god was no easy feat. Returning to the inn, Lin Fei contemplated his situation. An inn was not the most convenient place for him, he needed his own residence. However, having just arrived in the Ancient Covenant, there was no rush. His priority was to acquire the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. With 12,000 contribution points at his disposal, enough for the 10,000 required for the sutra, Lin Fei didn't hesitate. He immediately went to make the exchange. Senior brother, I need to exchange for the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. Lin Fei arrived at the exchange location in the Great Dream City and faced a true monarch, the Grand Martial God. The true monarch nodded, confirmed Lin Fei's identity, and deducted 10,000 contribution points. Then, with a single tap on Lin Fei's forehead, a world of information flooded Lin Fei's mind. Like bubbles in a dream, seeming real and yet illusory. These profound and esoteric words were the teachings of the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra, imparted directly into Lin Fei's mind without any written instruction. This knowledge would gradually fade from memory if not learned, but Lin Fei didn't face this difficulty. As soon as the voice echoed in his mind, the system's voice immediately followed. You have obtained the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. Your first layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra is now complete. You have advanced to the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. Lin Fei had thus broken through. It turned out that no profound comprehension was needed. Acquiring the second layer's mantra automatically perfected the first layer. This was due to Lin Fei's effort in the first layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. Receiving the second layer's teachings was like enlightenment, instantly completing his understanding and saving him a lot of time. He smoothly transitioned to the second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra. The second layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra didn't offer any offensive or defensive powers. Its main benefit was the ability to enter the second level of the dream state. With a thought, Lin Fei entered this second layer. Upon entering, his surroundings undulated like ripples in water, eventually calming down. He noticed he was still in the Great Dream City, but it was much quieter, with fewer people around. He also felt that the Great Dream City seemed more real. Is the second layer of the dream state even more realistic? Lin Fei pondered. Lin Fei found it strange. He was fully aware that he was in the second layer of the dream state, yet the more he realized this, the more astonished he became. Contrary to expectations, his surroundings didn't become more illusory, they appeared even more real. In fact, Lin Fei was now unable to discern what was reality and what was part of the dream. The second layer of the dream state allowed control over the flow of time. With just a thought from Lin Fei, time sped up dramatically, moving at 10 times the normal speed. Yet, he couldn't perceive this acceleration himself. To him, everything seemed as it always had. To test this, Lin Fei deliberately stayed in the second layer for 10 hours before leaving the dream state and the Great Dream City. Indeed, only 1 hour has passed in the real world, but I truly experienced 10 hours in the second layer of the dream state. He pondered, even Tao integration true immortals can't control time, can they? The Great Dream Heart Sutra is truly miraculous. Lin Fei intuited that the Great Dream Heart Sutra didn't actually control time but rather related to perception. Nonetheless, this ability of the sutra was incredibly wondrous, a truly unique scripture. No wonder the creator of the Great Dream Heart Sutra, one of the 8 great martial ancestors of the ancient covenant, was revered for such profound and unparalleled mysticism. Chapter 478. The Way of the Great Tao, a struggle for ascendance. The differential in the flow of time had its uses. Immersed in the second layer of the dream state, Lin Fei began to meticulously study his world laws. Having recently plundered 3 additional world laws, his internal laws were now rich and dense. Utilizing these laws for combat required research and practice to unleash their full potential. In this second layer of the dream state, Lin Fei could simulate his own laws without fear of depletion or self-harm, a risk-free environment for experimentation. Any insights gained could be immediately applied in reality, progressively enhancing his overall strength. Lin Fei understood his current situation well. He could barely survive a second thunder tribulation and possibly endure 2 additional bolts of thunder to plunder 1 more world law without much issue. However, attempting to plunder 3 laws would be incredibly challenging, nearly impossible. Lin Fei also realized the significance of the robustness of his laws. It was not only crucial for his strength but also pivotal for achieving the status of a grand martial god and, most importantly, becoming a martial ancestor. A martial ancestor, akin to a true immortal, does not just integrate with a complete Tao but masters it. True immortals merge with a complete Tao, becoming immortal and eternal, existing as long as the Tao persists. Similarly, a martial ancestor, who controls a complete Tao, remains undying as long as the Tao endures. Achieving mastery over a complete Tao is far more challenging than integrating with it, which is why there are fewer martial ancestors than true immortals. Many martial gods focus solely on surviving thunder tribulations, not realizing that this stage is not just a challenge but also an opportunity. During the martial gods phase, plundering sufficient laws to build a profound foundation is crucial. Only then can one gradually construct the basis of a Tao and harbor even a slight hope of mastering a complete Tao. Otherwise, progressing routinely through tribulations may only lead to the limit of becoming a true monarch. In the methodical progression of tribulation, becoming a true monarch was already the pinnacle. The aspiration to become a martial ancestor was nearly an impossibility, a common knowledge in the path of cultivation, no secret to many. Indeed, some even kept meticulous records of such matters. To achieve the status of martial ancestor, one had to seize more than 3 laws during each heavenly tribulation, sometimes even as many as 10. The divine realm was no stranger to astonishingly talented individuals. Lin Fei's capture of 3 laws in a single heavenly tribulation was a marvel to ordinary martial gods. However, for those determined to ascend as martial ancestors, this feat was merely meeting the bare minimum. Of course, those who aspired to become martial ancestors found their cultivation progressing at a painstakingly slow pace at the martial god stage. This was because their ambitions extended beyond merely surviving tribulations. After all, the strength of a martial artist was finite, comprised of physical prowess and laws. With no external aids permitted during tribulations, what else could be done? They could only refine their bodies, strengthening them to stand a chance at seizing more laws. Thus, Lin Fei had not yet considered facing his second heavenly tribulation, for he was not confident in his ability to seize 3 laws or withstand the third heavenly thunder. Refining the body is too challenging, he lamented. Improving laws is even more improbable. I can only develop some techniques to utilize the laws a bit better, which helps increase my strength, but not by much. What about the saber world, then? Lin Fei pondered over his saber world, which had not seen improvement for a long time. The saber world had reached its limit, but its integration with the world's laws seemed like a novel direction. If he could merge the saber world with the world's laws, thus greatly enhancing its power, his second heavenly tribulation might just be within reach. However, this required repeated experimentation. The integration of saber world and the world's laws can, in fact, draw inspiration from the minor worlds, he thought. Take the minor worlds as a model. I have already created the particle world, also based on the minor worlds. The saber world, combined with the world's laws, could essentially be considered a minor world. However, this minor world is too weak, it needs further expansion to counter or consume the heavenly thunder. Currently, my world's laws are abundant enough to support the expansion of the saber world. But the saber world has expanded to its limit, restricting the enhancement of the minor world's power. If the saber world could continue expanding, it might just withstand the third heavenly thunder. In the second layer of his dreamscape, Lin Fei experimented with one method after another, thinking outside the box in his quest to expand the saber world. Remarkably, he stumbled upon a solution. His saber world, born from the evolution of saber intent, was a manifestation of a martial artist's conviction transitioning from the ethereal to the tangible. Thus, the optimal way to expand the saber world was to devour the saber worlds of other saber wielders. In other words, when other saber cultivators evolved their saber worlds, Lin Fei could use his own saber world, augmented with the laws of the world, to forcibly assimilate them. The experiments within the second layer of the dreamscape proved that this was feasible. He could indeed devour other saber worlds to enlarge his own. However, saber worlds were rare, typically, only a martial king could evolve one. Although there were many martial kings, few wasted time on evolving saber worlds. Most were focused on achieving the status of martial gods. Who would devote time to evolving a saber world? Saber intent, saber force, saber domain, saber world, to evolve these, one must be a true devotee of the saber. In reality, how many were passionately dedicated to the saber? Nonetheless, this was a viable method, and Lin Fei etched it into his memory. Should he encounter another saber world, he would definitely vie for it. Besides the enhancement of the saber world, physical strength could also be improved. This was the method most martial gods relied on to survive heavenly tribulations. There were numerous ways to enhance physical strength. Lin Fei's creation of the particle world was also a means to bolster his physique. However, other martial gods, lacking the world's laws, could not create worlds. But they had their methods, too. They fought for minor worlds, plundering their essences to forcibly strengthen their bodies. This was an arduous task, as once the essence of a minor world was seized, the world was on the brink of collapse, tantamount to the destruction of an entire minor world. Moreover, typical martial gods were incapable of annihilating an entire minor world. In fact, such an attempt could provoke a violent backlash from the world itself, leading to its collapse and the simultaneous downfall of the martial gods involved. This was the risk they took for potential reward. Usually, several martial gods had to collaborate to break a particularly weak minor world. Worlds like the ancient continent were far beyond their reach, impenetrable even to true immortals, let alone martial gods. Most martial gods resorted to this method, plundering the essence of minor worlds. Despite the difficulty and risk of perishing, it offered them a glimmer of hope. Similarly, the powerhouses of the immortal Tao undergoing deity transformation also plundered essences, aiding in their comprehension of spatial laws, uncovering the secrets of space, and advancing towards the state of true monarch. However, minor worlds were the foundational bases of many forces and could not be destroyed recklessly. For instance, the ancient covenant occupied many such worlds and prohibited any destruction. Martial gods and deity transformation beings born in these minor worlds, having ascended to the divine realm, naturally forbade others from ravaging their homelands. Thus, the only option was to vie for ownerless minor worlds, increasing the intensity of competition. The emergence of an unclaimed minor world often resulted in the fall of several martial gods, while deity transformation entities suffered countless losses of incarnations, enduring heavy casualties. Whether in the ancient continent or the divine realm, Lin Fei reflected, the path of martial arts demands one thing for advancement: struggle. With this realization, his resolve grew firmer. He knew he must seek out saber worlds and contend for the essence of minor worlds. Otherwise, what hope did he have of achieving the status of martial ancestor or realizing the Great Tao? The path of the Great Tao, after all, was one of relentless struggle. Chapter 479. Clues of the Saber World. Great Dream City. Lin Fei issued a task: 8,000 contribution points to seek the Saber World of Martial Kings. Any martial king with Saber World, or the Saber World left behind after the fall of a martial king. As long as there are clues and they are confirmed, one can receive a reward of 1,000 contribution points. The mission is long-term effective. Lin Fei directly posted the reward mission in Great Dream City. A reward mission of 1,000 contribution points seeking clues of the Saber World. Just clues are needed. Once provided, 1,000 contribution points can be obtained. Of course, Lin Fei only has 2,000 contribution points at the moment. He could only support 2 tasks. But it's okay. Lin Fei could still continue to do tasks. He would be able to earn more contribution points in the future. Meanwhile, Lin Fei was also looking for some tasks in Great Dream City. And he was also paying attention to the news about some ownerless small worlds. Information exchange in Great Dream City was very convenient. Soon, Lin Fei heard some news. Some people in Black Moon City have discovered an ownerless small world. It was directly auctioned and sold at a high price. As a result, the news leaked, causing a dispute. TSK, 3 martial gods fell. 18 deity transformation powerhouses were annihilated, countless avatars were destroyed, and the losses were heavy. In the end, the origin of that small world was obtained by the initial evil true person. Once fully comprehended, it is feared that the distance from transcendence is not far. There is also news of ownerless small worlds in Linglong City. Even without seeing the small worlds, violent fighting broke out. Many deity transformation powerhouses suffered losses of avatars, and the losses were heavy. As a result, it was discovered that someone had set a trap, and there was no ownerless small world at all, which caused a chaotic slaughter. Such messages abound in Great Dream City. Lin Fei also realized from them how difficult it is to contend for small worlds. The initial evil true person was a top deity transformation powerhouse. It is rumored to have tens of thousands of avatars and numerous treasures. It has even slain martial gods before. Such a fierce and unparalleled figure almost had all its avatars annihilated before barely seizing the origin of the small world. Lin Fei felt that with his current strength, if he were to participate in the contention for the origin of a small world, it's afraid there would be no good outcome. Deity transformation powerhouses would suffer heavy losses, but they wouldn't die. But if a martial god were to participate personally, once their physical body perishes, then they are truly dead. Therefore, for now, Lin Fei focused on finding the whereabouts of the Saber World. In Yuchen, the Fang family, once a martial king lineage renowned throughout the city and with a legacy spanning thousands of years, now faced a dire predicament. The Fang family's dungeon was filled with their own kin, and Fang Yunshan, the young master, was shackled in specially crafted chains. His strength as a martial sovereign was thoroughly suppressed, rendering him incapable of breaking even the simplest of cages. Covered in scars like a Gao, Fang Yunshan's torment was evident. He harbored deep hatred, especially towards a woman who betrayed the family's greatest secret to a deity transformation being. As a result, this deity transformation entity, with just 2 of its incarnations, annihilated the Fang family and seized their secret realm. Now a broken man, confined within the prison walls, what hope could Fang Yunshan possibly have? Exhausted, he drifted in and out of sleep in his cell. In a semi-conscious state, a mysterious scripture appeared in his mind. He recalled a time when he burned some books and unexpectedly found a golden page that remained unscathed by the flames. Filled with dense text, this golden page excited him, hinting at a great adventure. However, as he attempted to memorize the words on the golden page, they vanished rapidly, leaving him with only a vague recollection. Over time, even this memory had almost faded. But now, in his despair, the words from the golden page resurfaced clearly in his mind, Great Dream Heart Sutra. Whispering to himself, Feng Yunshan began practicing the sutra, following the mantra that emerged in his mind. Although the Great Dream Heart Sutra only had one level and seemed unremarkable at first, Feng Yunshan felt it was his only hope and diligently studied it. After several days of practice, one night, Feng Yunshan felt a jolt throughout his body. Half awake, he slowly opened his eyes, only to find himself in a vast city bustling with people. Feng Yunshan was deeply shaken. He observed discreetly, unraveling the mystery over several days. The Great Dream Heart Sutra had led him to become a member of the Great Dream sect. However, to receive assistance from other members in the sect, he had to issue tasks with rewards. In this realm, everyone was a martial god, and if a martial god extended help, his family could be saved. But Feng Yunshan lacked the contribution points to offer as a reward. Trapped, he couldn't undertake tasks to earn them. Thus, he waited silently in the task hall, day after day, unsure of what exactly he was waiting for, perhaps an opportunity, but what kind he did not know. It was his only hope, the only hope for the Feng family. As he observed day after day in the task hall, an opportunity finally presented itself. His heart leaped as he spotted a task, seeking clues about Saber World. His intuition told him this was the chance he had been waiting for. Without hesitation, Feng Yunshan accepted the task. Lin Fei, who had posted the task, was surprised that it was accepted so quickly. In the Dream City, within the shared dreamscape, the meeting was effortless. "Lord, I have accepted your task," Feng Yunshan addressed Lin Fei, his voice trembling with emotion and urgency. "But I don't need the 1,000 contribution points. I only ask that you, martial god, rescue my Feng family and drive away the deity transformation entity. In return, the Saber World left by our ancestor will be yours." Feng Yunshan, nearly pleading, was visibly shaken and his voice trembled. Not 1,000 contribution points, but just to drive away a deity transformation cultivator. Lin Fei's gaze flickered with interest. He asked Feng Yunshan to elaborate. Gradually, Lin Fei learned the full story. The Feng family's ancestor, a martial king and a saber wielder, had failed to achieve martial god status and perished, leaving behind a saber world. This saber world, upon the master's death, gradually transformed into a secret realm enriched with treasures by the Feng family. A deity transformation entity coveted this realm and easily sought to claim it, reducing the Feng family to ruins. Feng Yunshan, imprisoned yet possessing the first layer of the Great Dream Heart Sutra, found a way into the Dream City and stumbled upon this opportunity. A mere ordinary deity transformation, Lin Fei pondered. Since you have a saber world, we have a deal. I'll drive away the deity transformation from your Feng family in exchange for your saber world. After agreeing to help, Lin Fei promised to soon arrive at Yuchen, where the Feng family was located. He then disappeared. Feng Yunshan awoke from his dream, still in the damp, dark, and cold prison cell, yet his heart was ablaze with excitement and hope. He knew that the Feng family might have a chance at salvation. There's hope, everyone wakes up, hold on a little longer, Feng Yunshan encouraged his disheartened relatives in the dungeon, offering them a glimmer of hope. However, the Feng family members were skeptical. In such dire straits, who would come to save the Feng family? Chapter 480. End of the Feng family. In Yuchen, belonging to the Yin-Yang immortal realm, Lin Fei delved into investigating the deity transformation entity, Taoist Mo Yu, who had ravaged the Feng family. Although Feng Yunshan had described Mo Yu as an ordinary deity transformation, Lin Fei wanted to confirm this himself. Deity transformation entities, while not the pinnacle of power in the divine realm, still held significant strength. Lin Fei utilized the resources of the Great Dream sect for his investigation. It was soon revealed that Taoist Mo Yu was indeed classified as an average deity transformation with no more than 100 battle incarnations. The strength of a deity transformation entity is often gauged by the number of these battle incarnations, which are comparable to the deity transformation level themselves. Mo Yu, having only about 100 such incarnations and having been a deity transformation for over 50,000 years, suggested limited potential and power, at least in Lin Fei's eyes. For Lin Fei, dealing with such an entity seemed manageable. Deciding on his course of action without hesitation, Lin Fei left the ancient covenant, setting off for Yuchen. In the dungeons of the Feng family, the situation was dire, with members howling in despair. A beautiful woman, the cause of their downfall, stood coldly in front of Feng Yinshan's cell. His gaze upon her was complex, devoid of hatred but filled with guilt. Despite this woman's role in the family's destruction, Feng Yinshan understood it as retribution. Her family had been annihilated by the Fangs, with only her, then an infant, surviving. This woman sought revenge, aligning herself with Taoist Mo Yu and revealing the secrets of the Fang family's hidden realm, leading to its downfall. She was even behind the imprisonment and torture of the core family members. Seeing the Fang family in this state, does it pain you? Do you feel remorse? The woman asked slowly. Feng Yinshan, with a complicated expression, responded, the debt of blood must be paid in blood. It was the Feng family who destroyed your family and killed your loved ones. Your revenge is justified. But in doing so, you've sacrificed yourself too. Was it worth it? Feng Yinshan understood the immense sacrifices the woman before him had made for her revenge. Of course it was worth it, she declared fiercely. Without such sacrifices, how could I have brought down the Feng family? I know some of you still haven't given up hope, still dreaming of a miracle. So, I give you a sliver of hope, only to let you slowly descend into despair and die. That way, you can truly comprehend my pain. As she finished speaking, a figure appeared beside her, a black-robed elder, Taoist Mo Yu, or rather, one of his battle incarnations. Even though it was just an incarnation, it held the power of a deity transformation. The difference in strength between a deity transformation and a martial king was immense, a qualitative gap that was nearly impossible to bridge. Taoist Mo Yu expressed his disappointment with the Fang family's secret realm, finding little of value, and coldly ordered to deal with the Fang family members to avoid any further complications. The calm tone of his command sent chills down the spine. He intended to eliminate all the Fang family members. The woman hesitated slightly but then resolved to carry out the order. Feng Yinshan's heart tightened, realizing that Taoist Mo Yu was hastening their end. The martial god he had contacted in the Great Dream City hadn't arrived yet. Would it be too late? Taoist Mo Yu, noticing the woman's hesitation, darkened his expression. Under his pressure, she immediately assured him she would handle it. Just as Taoist Mo Yu was about to leave, a breakdown occurred among the Fang family members. Desperation and hysteria erupted as they cried out, questioning Feng Yinshan's promise of rescue. Where is the person who was supposed to save us? They wailed. You said to hold on a little longer, but we are running out of time. Feng Yinshan was at a loss for how to respond to his desperate kin. Although the Great Dream Heart Sutra had given him a glimmer of hope, the others in the Fang family were not privy to the sutra and faced relentless torment and pressure. Now, with their impending execution, all their hopes and beliefs seemed to crumble in an instant. Taoist Mo Yu, hearing the mention of a rescuer, halted and fixed his gaze on Feng Yinshan, inquiring about the identity of the savior. Feng Yinshan, realizing there was no escape and that silence would only hasten their end, decided to speak up, grasping at the only straw left. Taoist Mo Yu, I belong to the Great Dream sect. You cannot kill me, he declared. A martial god from my sect is on their way to Yuchen. If you kill me, I fear that senior martial god and the Great Dream sect will not let this go easily. Feng Yinshan was playing his last card, invoking the name of the Great Dream sect to deter Mo Yu. The mention of the Great Dream sect caused Taoist Mo Yu to pause and recall. He had heard of this top-tier force within the Ancient Covenant, reputedly with a martial ancestor at its helm. However, being from the Yin-Yang immortal realm and distant from the Ancient Covenant, Taoist Mo Yu was not fully aware of the details regarding the Great Dream sect, having only heard the name. But Taoist Mo Yu wasn't one to be easily swayed by mere words. He sneered, bold indeed. Whether you are a member of the Great Dream sect or not remains to be seen. Even if you are, what of it? Would the Great Dream sect really retaliate for a mere martial sovereign like you? Even if the martial god you speak of arrives, I will still kill you. Let's see what they can do about it. With a sinister glint in his eye, Taoist Mo Yu decided to act. He launched an attack directly at Feng Yinshan, not caring whether Feng Yinshan's claim was true or not. Today, he was determined to kill Feng Yinshan. Taoist Mo Yu's finger transformed into a streak of light, flying towards Feng Yinshan, enveloping him in the aura of death. Chapter 481. Lin Fei strikes, crushing Taoist Mo Yu. In Feng Yinshan's mind, there was only one thought left. Today, he was going to die. PTCH. The next moment, a sharp saber light flashed by. Immediately after, the finger thrust by Taoist Mo Yu was sliced by the saber light, dissipating into nothingness. Who? Taoist Mo Yu's expression turned stern, fixating on the distant figure. At that moment, in front of Fan Yunshan, a figure had appeared, unknown when. He glanced at Fan Yunshan and said indifferently, "Had I arrived even a moment later, you would have been decapitated." "Are you Fan Yunshan?" Fan Yunshan also opened his eyes, and upon seeing the figure before him, his heart swelled with joy. He immediately knelt down and pleaded, "Senior, please save my Fang family. We have made a deal. You accepted my task, and I promised your request." "Your request, was it to drive away Taoist Mo Yu?" "Yes." "All right, then as you wish." Lin Fei took a step forward. "Taoist friend, do you truly wish to make an enemy of me over a mere Fang family?" Taoist Mo Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. But Lin Fei didn't speak. Boom. The next moment, Lin Fei unleashed a punch. Within Lin Fei's body, he utilized the power of only 100 particle worlds. Despite using the power of just 100 particle worlds, this punch was still earth-shattering. Taoist Mo Yu's battle avatar immediately let out a scream, like a paper figure. PTCH. Taoist Mo Yu's battle avatar was annihilated. Yes, completely annihilated, leaving no trace behind. This battle avatar turned to ashes. Seeing this scene, many were stunned, even frozen in place. Taoist Mo Yu's battle avatar, just like that, annihilated. Without leaving a single trace. Not even any earth-shattering noise. Crushed? This was a complete crushing. Senior. Fan Yunshan's heart trembled. He faintly felt that this time, he really found an extraordinary and formidable senior. That was Taoist Mo Yu's battle avatar. Initially, just this one avatar almost destroyed the Fang family. Does he have another battle avatar? Let's deal with that as well. Lin Fei's figure flashed. He had already flown out of the dungeon. At this moment, inside the dungeon, many exchanged glances. However, many also quickly came to their senses. They immediately opened the prison and unlocked the shackles on Fan Yunshan. "Yunshan, we might really be saved." Yes, that senior is truly a martial god, perhaps even an extraordinary one. Let's hurry out and see, hopefully, that martial god senior can truly expel Taoist Mo Yu completely. At that moment, the people of the Fan family rushed out of the dungeon in a hurry. Above the skies of Moon City, Lin Fei and the many avatars of Taoist Mo Yu were in a standoff. Among these avatars, only one was the battle avatar. To Lin Fei, the other numerous avatars posed no threat if they weren't battle ones. HMPH set up the formation. Taoist Mo Yu snorted coldly. The next moment, dozens of avatars quickly dispersed across the void, forming a large array. Instantly, Lin Fei found himself within the formation. The advantage of a deity transformation powerhouse having numerous avatars is the ability to set up formations at any moment. However, since there was only one battle avatar, the power of the formation was limited. Lin Fei shook his head slightly. World Law, Seal. Immediately, he activated the World Law. Combined with the Saber World, it descended instantly, like a small world in itself, rapidly enveloping Taoist Mo Yu and swiftly shrinking. Taoist Mo Yu roared in anger, but within Lin Fei's World Law, it was futile. He could only watch as Lin Fei sealed him. The terrifying sealing power could even annihilate his battle avatar. By now, Taoist Mo Yu had to recognize that Lin Fei's strength far surpassed his own. "Fine, Taoist friend, your strength is formidable, I concede." Taoist Mo Yu said. "But you can protect the Fang family for a moment, can you protect them forever? Once you leave, I'll annihilate every member of the Fang family." Taoist Mo Yu was seething with murderous intent. He was no match for Lin Fei, but as a deity transformation powerhouse, Lin Fei couldn't kill him either. Since he couldn't do anything to Lin Fei, he would vent his anger on the Fang family. He was determined to annihilate the entire Fang lineage. Lin Fei frowned, his eyes turning sharp. He could have ignored the situation since driving Taoist Mo Yu away was sufficient. Whether Taoist Mo Yu sought revenge later was none of his concern. However, Lin Fei couldn't just stand by. Now that he knew of the threat, he had to find a solution. "Taoist Mo Yu, you have numerous avatars scattered everywhere. But if I decide to kill you, I can lock onto each of your avatars and hunt them down slowly. If you don't want a relentless pursuit and a lifetime of being hunted by me, let this matter end here. If the Feng family is exterminated, I will be the first to slay you. Lin Fei's demeanor was calm, but his words left no room for doubt. Taoist Mo Yu was furious inside, but he had no viable option against Lin Fei. He could, at all costs, engage in a fight to the death with Lin Fei, even entangling with him indefinitely. However, he was no match for Lin Fei. If he were truly locked on and all his avatars destroyed, it wouldn't be an empty threat. There had been a case where a deity transformation powerhouse, locked in a relentless struggle with a martial god, was hunted down, avatar by avatar, slowly over 1,000 years. Eventually, all avatars were exterminated and the deity transformation perished. Indeed, with countless avatars, a deity transformation powerhouse is hard to kill. But if it comes down to a relentless pursuit, even at the ends of the earth, a martial god could hunt and slay them. Taoist Mo Yu had not gained any significant advantage from targeting the Feng family. Now, to engage in an endless feud with such a martial god was not worth it. With this in mind, Taoist Mo Yu gritted his teeth. PTCH. The next moment, Taoist Mo Yu's battle avatar annihilated itself. This was self-destruction. The remaining ordinary avatars also rapidly disintegrated. Taoist friend, you are ruthless. Taoist Mo Yu self-destructed all his avatars, implying he would no longer target the Feng family. It was a sign of yielding. He did not wish to engage in an endless feud with Lin Fei. After all, for a mere Feng family, it wasn't worth antagonizing a martial god. Lin Fei watched as Taoist Mo Yu disappeared. His only thought was that the survival tactics of a deity transformation were indeed strong. As long as one avatar remained, they could not die. As for combat power, it could be concentrated in the battle avatar. Of course, against a martial god of the same level, it was difficult to prevail. But the ability to not die was impressive. However, such tactics were not something a martial god could envy. Martial gods don't have as many avatars as deity transformation powerhouses, not even one. Martial artists, fighting against heaven and earth, concentrate their power within themselves. How could they possibly have avatars? It's a case of advantages and disadvantages. But for now, the issue with the Feng family was resolved. Feng Yunshan, Taoist Mo Yu has been driven away, and he will no longer trouble the Feng family. Now, it's time to fulfill your promise. Where is the Saber World? Lin Fei stepped forward, coming before Feng Yunshan, his gaze calmly fixed on him.